How are you, my brother? How are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm loving that hat. I need one just like that.
Oh,
Welcome,
yeah.
welcome to Living and Aging with Pride. It's great to talk with. I'm calling you the great Mark Skousen. That's what I'm talking about. Founder of the Freedom Fest, my favorite place to come to. How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing good. Where are you based?
I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Ah, yes. I think we've talked before, right?
We have talked before. Matter of fact, I interviewed you when you were dressed up as Benjamin Franklin.
I'm probably going to do that again in the next year or two when we celebrate the 250th anniversary of our nation's creation.
That
Yeah, I love to do the Ben Franklin routine. It's really a lot of fun.
Hey, well, welcome to the show. I appreciate you being here. We got in July coming up the Freedom Fest, and as the founder of that great organization, tell me what prompted you to found this organization? What were you expecting to gain from it and or present to the rest of the world about it?
Yeah, James, really, I felt for some time, I had this nagging feeling that we were losing the battle for freedom and individual rights in so many different ways with higher taxes and regulations, constantly passing new laws and not getting rid of the bad ones. And I thought, well, the opposition is well organized, it seems, and so why not? Shouldn't we organize ourselves? Are we a herd of cats, or do we have a possibility that we can get together? We all live busy lives. Can we get together once a year to learn from each other, um, to network, to socialize, and to celebrate liberty? That was basically the idea. And I think in large measure, I've been successful in that. We have all the freedom organizations coming, Cato and Reason and Heritage and Students for Liberty and so forth. We have great financial support with our investment conference. Our film festival is going great guns that my wife puts on, and we get big name speakers. We have always had celebrity speakers coming, going all the way back from the beginning. We had Donald Trump, we've had George Foreman, we've had William Shatner, we've had Kevin O'Leary, we had John Cleese, we had Mike Rowe. Uh, 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 the list goes on, and we have this year. We have some big names as well.
You got the brother Ice T. You got
I
Javier
see
Malay.
you.
You got Steven Pinker, Justin Amish, Lisa Kennedy, and Steve Forbes. I mean, you got the big boys playing with you, my friend. And
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 that's what
don't
we
forget James Brown.
James Brown. Wow, the great musician, right?
No, I'm talking about me. Don't you do that to
Yeah,
me.
I know who we're talking about. Yeah, and the thing is, you passed over rather briefly uh, Javier Milei, the new president of Argentina. This is very exciting. He was the number one choice, a sought after speaker. We surveyed people and said, well, who do you want? And of course, people said Trump, and they said Elon Musk, and
Right.
big names like that. But the number one choice that people wanted was to hear this Malay guy who is creating a sensation in Latin America, and he may turn things around in the whole Latin American arena. And we're just thrilled to have him come and speak and answer questions and meet with us and so forth. It's really, and the jury's still out whether he's going to be able to survive and turn Argentina around, but we're very hopeful that that'll be the case.
Well, Argentina has been had a critical role in the development of the Latino countries, and for some years it's been building, tearing down, building and rebuilding, and those kinds of things. So I think it's time for it to take the turn for the better, and maybe Javier is going to be the answer to that, depending on how the people react to his leadership.
We have our problems here in this country as well, as when you if you focus on aging and living and so on, that's quite a challenge.
It is a challenge, and many of us and many of the people of this country that don't have a clue what to do about they're getting older, and everybody's going to get older. And what we do here with Living and Aging with Pride is try to set the platform to make it easier for people to navigate through the system. And one of the reasons for me, besides loving you guys, coming to the Freedom Fest is to embrace that whole thought about economic wealth and health and benefits. And let's talk about retirement. Retirement is something we all seem to go for. What do you say to older adults, before they become older adults, uh, as to how they need to look at the economic foundation around them to enable them to become retirees?
Well, first of all, James, I think you have to ask yourself. Um, there's two kinds of jobs. There's jobs that you love that really isn't a job. You love to work. You love to get up in the morning and go to work. And then there are those jobs that you said, boy, I can't wait for retirement because
Right.
I'm tired of doing what I'm doing and I want to do something else and I want that free time and so forth. And there really are both those kinds of jobs. And I say to the first group, you don't want to retire. You want to stay with that job as long as you can. So 65 is an artificial date. And you may
Absolutely.
want to go beyond that. I mean, what you're doing right now, I don't know how old you are and so forth, but you want to keep doing that. Why would you want to not do that? It's so much fun to interview people, to give people advice and help. I feel the same way about my newsletter. I'm 76 right now, and I really enjoy every day I wake up and I say, what's exciting, what's new, what can I do? Give advice to people, give a speech, write a book, write an article, uh, go out and meet with people, play some golf on the side, and you want to keep active in that respect.
Yes,
So for those people, I would say don't ever retire unless you're forced to for health reasons. You want to balance life for sure, but you don't want to wake up every morning saying, "Oh, well, there's what should I do today? Am I going to just hit a green ball or a white ball over the green hills of America day after day?" There are some people who do that, and I think that's you need more balance in life. And if you're switched to the retirement stage, you want to have things going on every day. This is why I like people who live in the villages in Florida. I mean, they have so many activities going on. They can play sports. They can get together with a book club. They can play music. They can go to a concert. They can walk, just have a walk around the city. There's lots of things that you can do. I spoke there last year. My wife and I spoke there and had a great time. So you want to keep active and you want to do different things. And by the way, you want to be involved with charitable activity too. You want to do things for
absolutely.
other people. It's so important. So I've covered a lot of material. Maybe it's generated some questions you might have, but that's my attitude. I kind of split it into two parts.
Well,
And
I like that. I like that. What role does economic freedom play in shaping retirement options and opportunities for older adults?
well, you certainly want to live in a community that gives you plenty of alternative activities, and economic freedom provides that. Why is it that most people live in big cities? Well, it's because they're social people. Uh, it's because they want to have a variety of restaurants. They don't want to just go to one or two restaurants in the area. They don't want to just sit at home staring at a TV. They want to get out. They want to go to the opera. They want to go to a symphony. They want to go to a concert. They want to play sports. There are so many different activities that the city provides. I mean, you're in Salt Lake City. People who live in Chicago or New York or LA or what have you. And it doesn't have to be a big city, but it needs to be a modest sized city, I think, to have all of those activities.
I think that a lot of that is due to resource availability. In a city, you have a multitude of resources available to you. And as you get older, you find your joints get a little older too, and certain things start to affecting you about your physical health and your mental health. And it's good to have access to those kinds of things that will help remedy those problems. So it makes it a task. So it's all in one kind of thing. You want to be able to get some results to what your needs are quickly, and cities offer that more so than smaller communities. And you mentioned Florida in terms of they're building communities that have all of those uh, facilitation of needs for older adults, and that's a good thing.
Let me
I
mention
mean,
one other thing too, James, that I'm sure you've thought about this before, but there's an old saying. I have a book, by the way, called The Maxims of Wall Street. And the
uh-huh,
Maxims of Wall Street, there's a quote in there that I think is very applicable. He says, "The hardest thing in the world to do is for young people to save and to old people to spend." And I encounter this a lot with elderly people saying, "Well, I can't afford this, I can't afford that, limited budget, and so forth." And then they die millionaires and they leave millions to heirs instead of spending it while they're alive. So I do think there's a tendency to fear this great fear of running out of money. I don't know if you've encountered this or not. The fear that you might run out of money. And meanwhile, oh, I can't go on that cruise. Oh, I want to go to Israel. I've never been to Israel and see where Jesus walks. I can't do that. Can't afford it. And I remember in 1980, when my wife and I were in our early 30s, we went to Israel. We went on a tour with my uncle Cleon, who was doing a tour of Israel.
right.
And we were the youngest people there, and everyone else was practically barely alive. It seemed like they waited too long to really enjoy themselves, and a lot of people were on crutches and stuff like that. And so we saw that and we said, we're never going to let this happen to us. We're going to make sure that we have a balance in life, a balance between spending
That's
and
a good one.
saving. And so we've been I've been to 80 countries, James, 80 countries.
Woo!
And we've been on over 30 cruises. Now we combine business with pleasure in almost every one of our trips on our cruises. We just got back from a Forbes cruise. We were on with Steve Forbes and with 30 other people. And it was just so much fun having dinner with people and hearing new thoughts and debates and topics, and to see countries I'd never been to Indonesia before. And then we went to Singapore, we went to Vietnam. There were some really interesting things to take place. And when you get involved with those kinds of things and you see the world and you see how other people live and you talk to those people, it can be energizing.
And stimulating, and that's a really important factor in getting older, is keeping the activity happening, because that's going to make your life last long, but it's going to give you a level of fulfillment that you don't get if just sitting in a room. And I tell older adults such as I'm 79 years old,
Well,
and
you look younger than me.
hey, you know I'm working hard.
But the thing is, I'll just give you an example. People say I can't afford to come to Freedom Fest, which our conference is relatively cheap actually compared to most conferences.
Right.
And I say to themselves, listen, you're going to die a millionaire. You're going to die a millionaire. You need to, if you want to come to Freedom Fest, just to spend the money. And I guarantee you, you won't miss the money. You won't miss.
Exactly.
And it doesn't have to be just Freedom Fest. That's just one example. But it could be a cruise. It could be a trip to see your relatives, to see your children and your grandchildren. You got to do these things, and you need to get out of the house and spend more time instead of getting depressed at home.
I love it. I love it. How can older adults navigate the complexities of financial planning for retirement, especially considering factors like inflation and market volatility?
So inflation is a killer. I mean, it's like taxes. I mean, Ben Franklin said nothing is certain in life but death and
Right.
taxes, but you need to add inflation to that list because it's a form of tax. It's the way the government spends the money that it reduces your purchasing power. So
Right.
you have to engage in inflation hedges. And what are those inflation hedges? Now, normally think, well, that's buying gold, for example, but doesn't pay any interest, doesn't pay any dividends. You're just hoping the price of gold will go up. So you might want to have a small position in gold. But dividend paying stocks, especially companies that start paying a dividend or have a rising dividend policy, they outperform the stock market in general. And so it's a really good inflation hedge to get. In my newsletter, Forecasts and Strategies,
Right.
I recommend dividend paying stocks because even if the market goes down for a while, you get that dividend. The income is still coming in. And I have one, for example, I'll give you an example, Main Street Capital. So your people can write this down. Main is the symbol, MAIN. This is a financial company that invests in private companies that are doing quite well, but they need more financing, more funding for whatever they're expanding or what have you. And these companies eventually go public or they're bought out or what have you. And Main Street Capital invests, they do their due diligence. 99% of all their investments turn out to be good ones. They have a very small default rate on their
Right.
choices. And Maine has done a fantastic job. And what's cool about it, pays a monthly dividend. And it's
Ooh.
increased its monthly dividend 3 times in the last year. Plus, it pays supplement dividends, additional dividends every quarter. And the
So it's
yield
a
is like 7 or 8%. So it's called Main Street Capital. MAIN is the symbol. Your people should take a look at that. I've been recommending it for over 10 years now to my subscribers, and they just love it. And I've never not gotten a single complaint, not a single complaint about that investment. So there
well,
are good investments out there. You just need to search for them, and you have to be careful and do not fall into the trap of being pulled into something that's uh, where you're
less
offering 12
favorable.
to 13 to 15%, 20% a year. Those are really high risk, and you got to be careful of those kind of deals that are privately put together and no government guarantees or anything like that. So
You know,
retirees are vulnerable for that kind of thing.
without a doubt, there's a lot of scams out there and a lot of
Yeah.
get rich scams. Uh, you know, with life expectancy growing broader and wider, we're living longer. Uh, Men and women, you know, we have to gauge how we save our money, how we invest our money, what we do with our money, so that at the point that we have to retire or we decide to retire, that amount of money is going to work for us. What do you say? What is the perspective of a person that needs to think about, you know, I may live longer. I'm going to live 2, 3, 4, 5 years longer than no. Well, I'm a young buck at 79. And obviously, that's going to make a difference in how I've saved my money or how I've invested my money. What do you say to that issue?
Well, one of the people that we have at Freedom Fest is David T. Phillips and Company. Dave Phillips is a estate planning specialist that we've used for many years. You may have met him. He's always there, and they can set up a living trust and that sort of thing. But he has various insurance products that, not every insurance product is good. You have to be very careful with your
Right.
selection of annuities and these life the ones that protect you in case you have to be in a home that needs to be take care of you or what have you. There are some insurance products. My wife and I bought one of them so that if we're incapacitated for any reason,
Right.
we have the insurance kicks in and provides a supplement and may even be able to pay for in home taking care of
Care.
you or what have you. So that kind of policy is very helpful. And what's really cool is if you don't need it, you can get your money back. It's not like it's lost. It's put into an investment, so that you can pass it on to your heirs, and it has some value to it. So it's a whole life policy that takes care of you when you might suffer from an illness or surgery or what have you that incapacitates you for a while. So I do like that kind of private policies that are out there. You might check that out if you come to Freedom Fest and talk to Dave Phillips and company. They're estate planning specialists, so I think that's really a good way to go. Plus, you need to know as much as you can about investing. Don't blindly turn your money over to other people who might manage your money, and then on the other hand, might not manage it very well. So, to the extent that you can open up your own account with an IRA, with Charles Schwab or what have you, become educated at investment conferences and be very careful who you deal with. Make sure you get somebody with a good reputation. And don't put all your eggs in one basket. That is a danger also. You say, oh, I'm really taken with this one investment, whether it's Main Street Capital or whatever. Don't put it all in one investment. You've got to diversify because you never know. There's a lot of things that can go wrong out there.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so you want to be well diversified for sure.
Hey, we're talking to the great Mark Skousen. We're talking about your retirement. We're talking about the Freedom Fest. We got some great speakers here. Javier Milei, Ice-T, Stephen Pinnaker, Justin Amish, Lisa Kennedy, and Steve Forbes. Besides, there are going to be a lot of people with booths and information that you can tie in. And if you go to our webpage, you can go and put Pride 50 in and sign up and register, and you'll get a $50 discount. So there's going to be a whole lot of offering to get you where you can learn about what you can do with your future. And based on your past, we're going to make your future brighter. We're at an age where America is fast becoming the home of older adults. The older adult population is fast becoming the largest population in America, some 30 million now. Do you think that's going to be reason to bring some validity to the political circuses that are going on? And I'm talking about all sides, because we seem to have stopped talking and doing for the people, and we're talking about the individuals more than we're talking about what we're going to do to make America better.
Well, I do think we have a responsibility as our generation is now in charge of government, right?
Yes.
And so whether it's Joe Biden or Donald Trump, or Robert F. Kennedy Jr., whoever it is, or senators, Republicans,
Right.
we have a responsibility to provide a legacy for the young people, because it's young people who are going to pay into Social Security, they're going to be paying into Medicare, and they're going to provide the services that we benefit from. It's a lousy program. Both Social Security and Medicare are not very good. They need to be replaced by defined contribution plans, the 401k plans that are, Social Security invests in T-bills. They're the Social Security Trust Fund. So it should be invested in the stock market instead of earning $4,000 a month, which I get on Social Security. I get a fairly high amount, $4,000 a month, but I could be getting $10,000 if that money had been invested in the stock market. And Medicare, Medicaid, these expenses are going through the roof. So Singapore has a great program called MediSave, and they have health savings accounts. It's much more successful. And as a percent of GDP, only we spend 18% of GDP on healthy living, and frankly, people aren't living longer, James. People are dying longer. You know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
In other words, they're not living an enjoyable life. They're
Right.
just surviving, and they're keeping them alive for longer and longer. And we need to develop preventative ways so that you can live longer and prosper. Live long and prosper, as Shatner would say in Star Trek. He was one of our speakers. Live long, and we called we called his talk the free enterprise, based on the enterprise that the
love
ship
it.
that
I
he was
love
on.
it.
He
I love it.
loved that.
I
But
love it.
we really need to develop, we need to leave for the future generation a better Social Security, a better Medicare program. I wish we would do that, but we need to make sure you have the best healthcare experts working with you, not just to to deal with your medical problems with surgery and stuff, and in the taking of medicines and drugs and all of that sort of thing. We need to develop healthy living patterns. Uh,
Absolutely.
and that means we need to exercise. We need a good diet that does not involve a lot of meat, but has vegetables and fruits and nuts and stuff like that. It needs to be a well balanced approach to health. You know, John Mackey, the CEO of Whole Foods, the former CEO of Whole Foods, he speaks regularly. He'll be at Freedom Fest this year. He
And I'm
wrote a
hoping
book.
to interview John too. I'm hoping to
Yeah,
interview John and Ice-T. So,
well, that would be great. Don't put them together. It probably
oh
wouldn't
no,
work.
no, 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 no. It's going to be several different episodes.
Yeah.
Hey, I, I I know you're a busy man. I could talk to you all day. I will continue to do so. You're a good man. Your family is wonderful. They treat me so good. It's incredible, man, and I love you much. But let's continue this dialogue because I think it's important for people to hear your voice, to know what your aims and goals are, because you represent that leadership in this country that speaks to how to keep people healthy, make them wealthy, both mentally, physically, and financially. And that is a good thing. I appreciate you being here. We're going to have a good team at Freedom Fest. And thank you for joining my little podcast. And we're going to plaster it all over America.
Well, thank you very much, James, and look forward to seeing you at the big show in Vegas.
You got it, my brother. You take care. Give my love to everybody. You've been watching and listening to the great Mr. Skousen, who is a wonderful man. Freedom Fest coming to you in July in Las Vegas. Check it out. Be there. Don't be a square. I'm James Brown, and you're not. And this has been Living and Aging with Pride with Mr. Mark Skousen. Take care, my brother.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.